Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everybody. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. We'll continue with Dominic Carter in just a moment. And then we have the former chief of the Rackets Bureau in the Brooklyn DA's office, Mike Vecchione, joining me in about 20 minutes. But I have to tell you, I am as excited as I was 24 hours ago. I am pretty bummed because just when the Mets were preparing to roll out the barrel to celebrate advancement to another postseason round, disaster struck. The Mets had Game 2 against the Brewers in a 3-game series. They won Game 1 just a couple of hours ago, and they were leading the whole game. They were leading the whole game until the 8th. When they blew the lead to the Brewers, and the Brewers ended up winning by a score of 5-3. Awful. So now all the chips come down to today. Tonight's game against the Brewers is for all the marbles, the whole kit and caboodle. And it's a 7 o'clock game. I have cleared my schedule to make sure I don't miss a single pitch. I'm on pins and needles. Honestly, I know this sounds silly to people who don't follow baseball, but this is the only thing I can think about right now because this is the most Met thing ever. A high-stakes game which will end either in tragedy or in triumph. Now, I guess that can be said of sports in general, every sports team in every circumstance, but for the Mets, there's just something about them. You got to believe, as Tug McGraw said. Well, I believe. Let's see what happens tonight. All right. I want to wish a happy Rosh Hashanah or Shana Tova to all of our Jewish listeners and to all of our Jewish staff members that I am privileged to work with on a regular basis, including Noam Layden, Matt Blaze, and Elias. Elias is off today. Matt Blaze has graciously agreed to come to work. Noam says he's coming to work today. He's been off the last 2 days. We'll see if he makes his way in. But happy Rosh Hashanah to everybody that's celebrating. I know this is not one of the somber holidays. It's more of an upbeat holiday, so hopefully you guys don't get too crazy with all the Manischewitz wine. All right. Dominic Carter, Mike Vecchione coming up this hour. If you want to comment on anything we're talking about, we're going to get into the Diddy case with Dominic in just a minute. You can give us a call at 646-720-0635. There's also been some major developments on the Eric Adams case, namely involving the school's chancellor, David Banks. I'll give you the latest on that in a moment. It just is breaking within the last couple of hours. Again, our phone number, 646-720-0635.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, Hello, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. The situation surrounding New York City Mayor Eric Adams seems to be going from bad to worse, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to imagine how he's going to run the city effectively while dodging a number of landmines. First, what happened in court yesterday. Prosecutors have suggested that Adams may be facing even more charges. They're indicating there might be a superseding indictment in which they're going to charge him with more stuff. This is obviously very bad news, and while he's entitled to the presumption of innocence, the reality is that when the mayor of the nation's largest city is under the threat of criminal charges, it's a massive distraction. There's no way around that. And when you're distracted by legal issues, you can't focus on running a city as complex and challenging as New York is. Just look at how former Governor Andrew Cuomo was hobbled by scandal. Adams might face a similar predicament. Every press conference, every decision he makes will now be under the shadow of what happens next in court. That's not a good place to be. Not at all. Second, I was at dinner last night and I got word that the school's chancellor, David Banks, along with his wife, the deputy mayor, his new wife, were going to be leaving. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, what's the big deal? David Banks already announced that he was leaving. No. David Banks, a week or two ago, announced that he was going to be leaving at the end of the year. Now, David Banks has indicated he's leaving right now, suddenly. He had previously said he was going to stay the rest of the year. Now he's leaving right away. So the school's chancellor, along with the deputy mayor, their sudden departure raises a lot of red flags. Banks had previously indicated he would stick around. Now he's leaving suddenly. To me, that screams that both Banks and the deputy mayor might be cooperating with prosecutors. When people jump ship like that, it's often because they want to get out of a bad situation or get ahead of a bad situation. And if David Banks is cooperating, it's likely only a matter of time before we see Phil Banks, Eric Adams' other deputy mayor, and a close confidant stepping down as well. That would be another massive blow to Adams' inner circle. Finally, the Campaign Finance Board is set to meet on October 10th to determine what matching funds the Adams campaign will receive. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit him with a pretty hefty fine that wipes out any financial advantage he has over his opponents. This could cripple his ability to mount an effective re-election campaign, particularly if he's already having to devote so much of his time to legal battles. Without money, political campaigns in New York are dead in the water. As Yogi might say, it's getting late early.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
At Sephora, we've got what you want because you're obsessed with your skin, and we're obsessed with what it needs. Sephora has the best products to help you get beautiful, glowing, radiant skin. With an extensive, inclusive range of results-driven formulas and in-store beauty advisors to help you find exactly which are right for you, the best skincare is only at Sephora. Sephora, for all your skincare.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, folks, it seems the tax-free joyride for electric vehicle enthusiasts in New Jersey is coming to an end. Starting this month, buyers of electric cars in the Garden State will no longer enjoy the full sales tax exemption that's been in place for years. Interestingly enough, I'm sure if you don't live in New Jersey, you might not have even known about this. Instead, the state is phasing in a new policy. You'll now pay a 3.31% sales tax on electric vehicle purchases, rising to the full 6.625% by 2025. Now, I can already hear the grumbling from electric vehicle proponents, and I get it. No one likes to pay more taxes, especially when you've gotten used to a sweetheart deal. But here's the thing. Why were we giving them this break in the first place? I've never understood why New Jersey, or any state for that matter, because other states have similar proposals and similar policies, is in the business of subsidizing electric vehicles. Look, if you want to buy an EV because you like the idea of driving a cleaner car or saving money on gas, more power to you. That's your right. But why are we bending over backwards as taxpayers to make sure more of these cars hit the road? We've heard for years that electric cars are the future, that they're the solution to all of our environmental woes. But let's be honest, electric vehicles come with their own set of environmental problems. The production of those batteries, it's no walk in the park. Mining lithium, cobalt, and nickel causes all sorts of damage to the environment, and the labor practices involved are, let's just say, not something most people would feel great about. And what about when the battery dies? They're tough to recycle, and they create long-term waste issues. So why are we creating artificial demand for a product that's not as green as it seems? Let's be real here. If electric cars are truly the wave of the future, they should be able to compete in the free market just like any other car. Let them prove their worth on their own merit. After all, gas-powered cars never got this kind of a handout. We've been subsidizing electric vehicles for years now, and what have we seen? Sure, more EVs are on the road, but at what cost? Meanwhile, the infrastructure we need to support them, like charging stations and better power grids, is still struggling to catch up. Taxpayers are essentially footing the bill for an experiment that benefits a select group of people. Is that really the best use of our resources? Governor Murphy and the Democrats in Trenton seem to think we should keep throwing money at this idea, even as we're facing all sorts of other budget shortfalls. If people want to drive electric cars, great, but let's not pretend that this is something we should all be subsidizing. It's time to let electric vehicles sink or swim on their own merits.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Well, folks, we've got yet another case of fiscal madness in New York City government. This time, courtesy of the New York City Sheriff's Office. You may not have heard much about the Sheriff's Office lately, but let me tell you, they've been hard at work. Very hard at work. How do I know? Because they've managed to exceed their overtime budget by a whopping 542%. That's not a typo, folks. 542%, according to a letter from City Controller Brad Lander, who, as most people probably know, is running for mayor. The Sheriff's Office has blown through almost $5 million more money than they were budgeted for in overtime costs this year alone. Now, for an agency of their size, that's not just a little bookkeeping mistake. That's fiscal insanity. Let me break it down for you. Last year, the top 10 earners in the Sheriff's Office raked in over $1 million in overtime pay. That's right, $1 million in overtime for just 10 people. And here's the kicker. When the Sheriff's Office realized they were blowing through their budget, what did they do? Did they put a stop to the overtime? Did they rein it in? Nope. They asked for more money, and not just a little bit more. They wanted an additional $835,000 on top of their already generous overtime budget, all while they'd already exceeded that budget by $2.1 million. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go over budget at home, I don't ask my bank for more money. I tighten my belt, at least my wife does. Apparently, that's not how things work in the Sheriff's Office. And this isn't just about overspending. This is about gross mismanagement. Lander's letter did not mince words. The Sheriff's Office doesn't set realistic overtime budgets, and they don't manage their finances properly throughout the year. I mean, come on. If you know you're burning through cash faster than you should, you don't wait until it's gone to do something about it. But it seems like the Sheriff's Office has been more focused on inflating salaries through unchecked overtime than on actually managing their budget responsibly. The fact that this has been going on unchecked for this long is an indictment of how poorly the Sheriff's Office is run. It's not just about dollars and cents. This is about accountability. How can an agency that can't even manage its own finances properly be trusted to enforce the law? Now, I get it. law enforcement is demanding. There are times when overtime is necessary, but this is not an occasional issue. This is a systemic problem, and it's costing taxpayers millions of dollars, money that could be going to schools, infrastructure, or any number of other things that benefit all New Yorkers, not just a few people cashing in on overtime. It's time to put a stop to this. The sheriff's office needs to get its act together and start managing its budget like the rest of us have to, responsibly. And if they can't, well, maybe it's time for new leadership. This level of mismanagement is simply unacceptable. To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.